Who knew this kind of reboot would be my favorite so far? Reboots and remakes are all the rage since, when? Early 2000s? The beginning of time? I mean, The House of Wax with Vincent Price was a remake, and so was The Thing, so... I don't know. Some reboots and remakes are good or incredible. Some are bad. Like, really bad. Excruciatingly horrid. I'm looking at you, Disney. Don't you dare touch Nightmare. This isn't just a thing with films. TV shows and possibly video games are also guilty of this. Pokemon's Gen 2 remake is the best thing ever. Fight me. But with shows, it's a bit particular. The show's creators want to keep the original spirit while continuing the story. Like the Dark Crystal with their prequel story that's also a quasi-alternate timeline? Hashtag SaveTheDarkCrystal. Or they just uproot the entire thing and make it something different while making all of the nostalgia nerds upset. Or just make something new with an old property for the next generation. Like that one show I don't want to talk about because season 1 was a chore to get through and it was very disappointing for me. Yet the design of one character makes my heart go all doki doki. Back on topic. One of these reboots or remakes that I firmly believe both does its own thing for a new generation, but at the same time it respects its humble beginnings and remembers its roots. And that show is Netflix's Carmen Sandiego. Carmen Sandiego originated as an edutainment video game for kids, named Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego? The goal was to learn about history, art, and culture from all around the world while hunting down the infamous titular character. I never played any of these, nor did I ever see the game show that originated from the game's popularity and edutainment purposes, but I recall watching a few episodes from the cartoon. When Netflix released the trailer of their own take of The Crimson Thief, I do have to admit that I was both not interested and a bit cautious over how the writers and show director would make the show all dark, mysterious, and serious. Since that's what most shows have been doing a lot lately. Star vs. She-Ra, Tangled. But thankfully, and I do think whatever force exists out there, that this show avoided this road like the plague and stuck to its guns. I'm not saying that it doesn't take itself seriously here and there. It just doesn't make it the only focus. This new version has Carmen be a thief that steals from other thieves that actually mean business who deprive the world from historical artifacts, pose an actual threat and other stuff for their own gain, while avoiding the capture of said thieves and the secret quote-unquote agency that wants to stop evildoers. And before I start going down the spoilers slide, please watch the show and come back, because I won't hold back on the spoilers. This is your last warning before we enter the list.
Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego?
Number 10. Becoming Carmen Sandiego, Part 1 and 2. Wow, starting out with the show premiere, huh? Becoming Carmen Sandiego is what it is, showing the audience who our protagonist is, her origin story, how she isn't the same Carmen that you used to know, and that this isn't going to be a carbon copy of the early 90s cartoon. Being brought up by the most cultured people and the most talented thieves in the world while stuck in an island paradise since babyhood, young Carmen sets on becoming part of the thieving family she's known all her life by attending Vile Academy, learning the tools and abilities of the trade, while also learning the not-so-good side of said family. One do-over year later, and Carmen escapes from her childhood home and ventures off into the world with the help of a young hacker, codenamed Player. This premiere not only sets the tone and the character's motivation and backstory, but it also shows the audience the various characters we'll be seeing throughout the show, from the Vile faculty to the Interpol agents who are chasing down Carmen Sandiego, Agents Divino and Argent, alongside Acme and their leader, codenamed Chief. It also shows us the origin of Carmen's fashionable look.
My, you've grown.
A decent start for a good reboot, and a good start for our list. Number 9. The Crackle Ghost Kiwi Caper. Aside from getting a Season 1 character back into the fray and giving hints to the audience that this may be a recurring thing, there's also another reason as to why this episode is on here. Carmen dancing to the rhythm of Dance of the Little Swans while avoiding electrified shields. This scene just doesn't want to leave my head. I blame Black Swan. Carmen has to infiltrate Dr. Bellum's secret New Zealand lair to stop her from unleashing a strong enough EMP frequency that will make Auckland go dark. And Carmen's former thief school classmate, Graham, has the electrician abilities to help her pull it off.
Opera, ballet. Here's hoping the next gig involves stadium rock.
That's it. That's the episode. After becoming Carmen Sandiego, we know that Graham, formerly known as Crackle, was brainwashed to forget his time at Vile Island after getting caught by Interpol. And Carmen doesn't want to put him in harm's way or possibly trigger his memory in remembering everything and have him turn back into an enemy, which is sweet. We also get a new Vile agent, Neil the Eel. He's pretty slick if you know what I mean. Just don't try to hold him. He's a slippery bastard. Literally. Unfortunately, this episode is this low on the list because of the kinda sorta romantic implications between Graham and Carmen. She considers him like a big brother, as mentioned in the opera in the Outback Caper and Becoming Carmen.
Before he was Crackle, he was Gray, and Gray was like a big brother to me. I thought I knew you like the big brother I never had, Gray.
He gives her the address to his favorite cafe in Sydney. And the look he gives her? I don't know, is it just me? I personally find this very weird, and I hope Season 4 at least has some answers after Season 3's cliffhanger ending. Bob's your uncle, I guess. Number 8. The French Connection Caper. This episode is dark. Season 1's finale has Vile faculty bait Carmen into a trap by kidnapping Agent Devino, thinking she's his partner and working with Acme thanks to putting the pieces together from previous episodes, and Devino's stolen keycard. Coach Brunt and Shadowson take matters into their own hands, both figuratively and, for one, literally. I'll sweat baby Jesus! What's the show's rating again? TVY7. Are you sure? Because I heard bones cracking! Overlord, anyone? Secrets are revealed, unexpected allies show their allegiance, and to be perfectly frank, this episode ties itself up into a neat little bow. Kind of like the first Kingdom Hearts game. It's a nice way to finish things, but keeps the show open for possible future seasons in case if any were to be greenlit. I really don't know how Netflix works. They did cancel the Dark Crystal's prequel show, for unknown reasons, and of course, Rona. It still sucks though. I was happy to learn that Carmen Sandiego did get picked up for more seasons, since Season 4 got confirmed since October 2nd, 2020. I need more adventures, the found family trope, and its history lessons, dang it. Let's play that clip again. Fun adventures for the whole family! Play it with your friends! Number 7. The Duke of Vermeer Caper. It's really upsetting that I put one of my favorite episodes at number 7, but there's a reason for it. And that reason is Stash Haver and his weird-ass lips. Why did you do this to me, show? Countess Cleo has stolen and placed counterfeit Vermeer paintings all around the world, and is prepared to hold an auction with a complete collection. Carmen manages to steal the last remaining painting. But thanks to shenanigans, it's up to Zack and he has to go to the auction at Countess Cleo's chateau. He'll have to pose as a well-mannered, well-educated gentleman if Team Carmen is to retrieve all the Vermeer paintings before dessert.
If Cleo thinks for even one moment you are not who you say you are, she'll feed you to her dogs.
Aside from the magnificent art direction set in an isolated manner in the middle of the winter wilderness, Countess Cleo being a fucking queen and also Chase Devino being funny for a change, this is also one of the few episodes where one of Carmen's friends and associates is front and center, thrown to the wolves to defend himself and keep Vile from suspecting that Carmen's about to do her thing under their noses. It's a shame that the chateau had to pay the price. Thank you, Agent Devino. I still don't like Dash Haber. It's that very uncanny upper crust vibe that he has. Just because you're Cleo's assistant doesn't mean you deserve her attention. Also those lips. Ugh, don't replay that clip. Number 6. The Boston Tea Party Keeper and the Stockholm Syndrome Keeper. We're going back to the red-haired duo. Both Season 2 episodes put Zack and Ivy in the spotlight again as we delve more into their characters than just Carmen's lackeys. Let's start off with the Boston Tea Party Caper. Back in Season 1, we only got a mention as to how Zack, Ivy, and Carmen met. in a donut shop back in the siblings' hometown of Boston. This episode shows us how they met exactly, 1 year ago, which only tells us that Carmen hasn't really done much in terms of stealing from Vile with just Player. It makes you wonder how old Carmen was when she escaped the island in the first place. Anyways, Zack and Ivy were a sibling racing team, but thanks to a big loss in the big leagues thanks to a daddy's trust fund boy taunting them, the siblings need cash fast, but they owe a gangster a lot of money. So what do? Go and steal from a donut shop that is supposed to hold a buttload of underground cash. If you know what I mean. That's how they stumble upon Carmen. The donut shop was a cover for a money printing press for Vile, who wanted to buy loads of Boston real estate. The siblings show how they can be of some assistance to Carmen while still getting into trouble with the Vile operatives, and even set up their own Boston Tea Party by throwing off the counterfeit cash into the harbor. Ah, recreating history, what an honor. And so, to avoid both the gangster they owe money to, and to get out of Boston, which was their plan all this time, Zack and Ivy officially join Carmen in her pursuit of taking down Vile, one theft at a time. This origin story of the siblings, being told to both the audience and Shadow-san, fills in the gap as to how dangerous Carmen really was to Vile. Also,
Never. No, Zach. Ever call Boston. No.
this episode is a neat way to wrap up a small question of how Zack and Ivy met Carmen and how they joined Team Red. It's really sweet and contributes to the found family trope, even if only a bit. So let's jump from Boston, USA to Stockholm, Sweden. Vile is at an impasse on whether or not to abandon their island, unsure of Carmen's involvement with the Acme organization that they found out about in the previous season. Speaking of which, Acme agents tail Carmen in Stockholm while still thinking over if Agent Argent's idea of actually talking and recruiting Carmen is a good idea. Argent just wants to collaborate and work together with Carmen, Chief. Give her a chance. Anyway, thanks to Acme, they ruin Argent's attempt to talk to Carmen. A big misunderstanding happens and the infamous thief is sent paragliding off the map with a good case of tranquilizer gas. Ivy, on the other hand, gets captured by Vile agents, thinking that she is Carmen. Zack, with help from Player, choose to go after Ivy, who outsmarts and by sheer luck steals the asset from the Vile agents and escapes with the phrase, "What would Carmen do?"
Oh, come on!
And speaking of which, Carmen tried again and again to get out of her situation, with no good results, and decides to contact Chief as a last resort. Oh yeah, she stole Argent's communicator earlier. As an act of goodwill, which could have been avoided if you only listened to Argent, Chief, the authorities let Carmen go, and Zack and Ivy freak the hell out, taking over and trying to find help for their boss and friend. Two very excellent episodes. Not only putting Zack and Ivy front and center in these episodes to flesh out their characters more, it also shows you that you can't really do something just on your own. You need a support system and people you trust to back you up in case anything happens. I did watch one episode of the original animated Carmen Sandiego show, and Zack and Ivy were just annoying. This version, however, makes them feel like siblings in that no matter how much they tease and bash each other, they do everything and anything for each other, along with Carmen. And that's more important than just a bickering pair of characters you just want to slap. Number 5. The Day of the Dead Caper. Am I just adding this episode because it's located in Mexico? Yeah. You have a buttload of Christmas movies and you complain and whine on the internet whenever there's a film about something else that isn't white mayonnaise. Shut up. Season 3 starts off with 2 back-to-back episodes based in Mexico. The first one focused more on the luchador sport, which I'm honestly indifferent on. But this one is Day of the Dead, and it has a Frida Kahlo cameo, which adds points. So let's jump into the story. Carmen tracks a young thief who Vile plans in recruiting, while on the other side of the world, Shadow-san leads the new graduate agents on a wild goose chase. One of them looking a lot like Abby from The Last of Us Part 2, and Dante Bosco. Animal Crossing deserved Game of the Year. Anywho, Carmen faces the Vile agents set in the city, only to get captured by a very clever trap if you ask me, using a priceless historical artifact to electrify Carmen by throwing it in the air and knowing that she'll protect anything that has any importance. Clever girl. Only that this same trick doesn't fool Zack and Ivy, who just shrug it off. Carmen is saved by the potential Vile recruit, fighting off Abby and Dante Bosco, and rescued by Zack and Ivy. It's really something when a program like this shows how anyone who has nothing and has to survive by themselves turn to a life of crime, thanks to society casting them out, along with how Vile recruits their agents. No family, no resources, alone in the world, but with thieving skills.
Sonia fits the profile. Young, skilled, orphaned.
And it's a lot easier for them thanks to them grooming potential agents. Don't look at me like that. The show uses those words.
Do you recall that talented young art thief I've been grooming?
Don't ever use that G word again. Yeah, this didn't really focus on the Day of the Dead. It was just a setting. But I like this episode and its message, that it's never too late to turn over a new leaf. Carmen's words reach the potential thief, and she in turn readies herself to steal back everything and anything she originally stole and return the items back to their rightful owners. Also, Agent Argent leaves Acme.
The door is always open if you ever have a change of heart.
I'm gonna miss you. Number 4. The Fashionista Caper. God, I love Italia. As Vile tries to fill in Shadow-san's void in the faculty, they test out many potential candidates. This time, the OG Carmen Sandiego herself. In terms of voice acting, Vile's accountant, Cookie Booker, collaborates with Countess Cleo and Dr. Bellum in achieving the most fashionable theft, with smart fabric mind control. Yes, it's so out there that it just makes sense. Carmen fails to stop Cleo's assistant, Dash Haber, from stealing the said fabric.
Why is he here?
They infiltrate the fashion show in Milan, who's been given permission to also show off genuine Medici gowns, which are the target. Carmen and her crew, in turn, hijack the fashion show, with the help of Agent Argent being her adorable self as always.
Sandiego, you just got beached.
They save the gowns, and Carmen, with the help of Shadow-san, fight off mind-controlled fashion models. Even when they battle, they hold that model pose. I love it. I love it! Also, Shadow-san gets a new wardrobe at the end, looking pretty swanky.
Can I get these? Zach got to have gelato and pizza.
The fashion, the music, the overall silly concept that just works in this episode puts the Fashionista Caper this high. And it doesn't help that I really like Italy, even if I've never set foot in Milan. Which leads us to... Number 3. The Masks of Venice Caper. Take a gondola from Milan to Venezia, a place I actually went to. Piazza San Marco and the canals of Venice are incredibly beautiful. The show really captures their essence. But I better stop or else I'll complain that there were no cannolis at all. After many failed attempts to capture Carmen, Agent Devino, who's been reinstated by Acme after what happened in the season 2 finale but is also on thin ice, starts thinking logically for a change and pays attention to a bit of history to pinpoint what Carmen's potential target could be. Ancient masks from all over the world. While Team Red scouts the museum, Shadow-san feels like he can't do the job, his brother being one of the mask curators.
I cannot steal something so meaningful to my brother on his watch. Not again.
You also know that if we don't steal them first, Vile will.
Neil the Eel and Time Bomb also scout the area and manage to slip away from Zack and Ivy before the big night. Carmen and Shadow-san are caught red-handed by his brother, Hideo. But by taking a leap of faith, no pun intended, he helps Team Red in securing the masks and escaping from the authorities and the Vile agents. Devino, in turn, chases down Carmen in a heated boat chase. But when he finally catches her, she gives him the stolen masks, knowing he'll deliver it to the right authorities. For that's what Argent would have done. Neil the Eel is unfortunately captured while Time Bomb is just... Bro, he is so freaking done. I love it! Don't worry, Neil gets out thanks to the newest Vile faculty member. But this does bring up the question as to what happened to Crackle. Anyone caught by the authorities gets either offed or have their memory wiped. So is Neil next on the chopping block? Oh dip. I really like how this episode makes Devino deviate from his usual shtick of acting before thinking and dismissing history and artifacts, which was already grating on me since season 1. He also gets a chance to see Carmen in a different light at the end, remembering what Agent Argent did back in the Chasing Paper caper.
I did not do it alone.
Stealing things only to return them makes absolutely no sense.
She's not just a thief that he needs to capture at any cost. It's like she has actual depth and reason behind her thefts, don't you know? And lastly, Hideo and Shadow-san. No spoilers. By my heart! Number 2. the Daisho Caper. I think I shot myself in the foot with the mask caper. I spoiled what happened, but whatever. You should have seen the show before clicking on this video. This is Shadow-san's time to shine. We go to Japan, his country, and get his backstory. He was a little shit of a younger brother, which is understandable. With a very uptight brother and desiring more than what his brother could provide, it takes you down a dark path. Shadow-san's reason to come back to Japan was to return his half of a Daisho to its rightful place at Matsumoto Castle.
The what?
Daisho, the Japanese word for pair of swords, big and little, worn together by samurai.
Carmen meets his brother Hideo while scouting and learns his real name. Vile gets wind of their presence in the country. Lady Dokuso, a potential faculty member, with the help of Paper Star, another young Vile agent, they hatch a plan to capture both deserters, with the remaining half of the Daisho. I find it funny how they also add 2 karaoke scenes in this episode. It's so silly, but it feels right, and not just because the Japanese like karaoke. Despite Lady Dokuso's ability with deadly poisons, and Paper Star's sharp origami skills, they're both defeated by Shadow-san and Carmen respectively. And a ton of glue thanks to Zack and Ivy. That looked kind of nasty, but smart. The episode does end in a bittersweet way. It starts sad, but with a ray of hope thanks to the found family trope. Again, spoilers, you should have seen the show. Shadow-san returns to Matsumoto Castle, returns the complete Daisho set, and begs for his brother's forgiveness. But the damage was done ever since their youth, and Hideo leaves his brother in the dark, alone. I completely understand what Hideo is going through. Seeing his brother again after so many years, being betrayed way back when. You see it in his face how so many things are going through his head, but either isn't ready to forgive his brother or just decided long ago that he was dead to him, staining their family name. All of that dishonor. This is why animation is amazing! All of that and more in just a few frames, along with the design and music of course. This is way better than most dramas by far. Don't at me. Even with all of that, Shadow-san knew it was a long shot. To be forgiven by the one person that mattered, but returning the Daisho was his goal. He did it, and it's done. Team Red opened their arms to him, and he is now officially part of the team. Even if Japan no longer feels like home, he has found a new home in Carmen, Zack, and Ivy.
It's so good!
Before we go into the number 1 episode, let's give a shout out to the honorable mention. The Choose Your Own Adventure interactive movie, To Steal or Not to Steal. This special was made between the 2nd and 3rd season, during a caper that ends up being a trap set by Vile. Zack and Ivy are captured and Carmen has no choice but to obey the faculty and steal from them if it means keeping Zack and Ivy safe and give player enough time to figure out where they're being held so Carmen can rescue them. Each and every choice you make will either help or hinder Carmen's attempt to track down the siblings, hold off Vile from brainwashing them and becoming her enemies, and either get the aid or destroy the trust of an ally. Each turn has an instant fail or helps you continue the story. This is still scripted, but I do like how you still have some agency in the result of what happens, kind of like the Telltale games. Tigress will remember whether you helped her out of the hole or left her there, and other similar situations, but not too many. It's all up to you, the viewer, to figure out what Carmen will do. And if you get either one of the 2 good endings, you get a cool bonus scene with a silly but fun reference, but I'll keep it under wraps for those who want to try it out. It's pretty cool. And my number 1 favorite Carmen Sandiego episode is The Deep Dive Caper. This is the most dramatic episode in the entire show. I know the Brits would prefer the Jolly Good Show caper, which is great in its own right, but this caper, the Deep Dive Distance caper? Woof. Secrets revealed, people confronted, and tests being tested. I really don't know how to sing this episode's praises. I'm sorry if I'm not video essay material. I'm trying my hardest. Please be nice. Remember the Stockholm Syndrome caper and how I mentioned that the Vile faculty was debating whether or not to leave the island? Well, they did, and destroyed it off the face of the earth. And the caper after that, the African Ice caper, Coach Brunt unloads a big bit of info to Carmen about how Shadow-san didn't just find her in Argentina all those years ago.
We sent Shadow-san to Buenos Aires, Argentina 20 years ago to steal your daddy's life.
Whether or not this information was placed to destroy the trust that was built between them, Carmen returns to the Isle of Vile to get some answers. Devino, on the other hand, is stranded on the same island trying to connect the dots as to why Carmen is targeting the odd import-export company, which led him to the island. Carmen gets another hard drive from the remains of the academy and gets information on a former Vile faculty member. Her father, Dexter Wolf. Carmen confronts Shadowson to spill it, which he does with remorse. He reveals how the Wolf was given free reign at Vile, for he always delivered with every caper, even if he missed a lot of teaching at the academy. But unfortunately, that kind of patience wears thin, and once discovering many offshore deposits to a Swiss bank account, Shadowson is sent to kill him off. In a house in Argentina, Shadowson meets baby Carmen and sees Wolf's intentions to disappear and live his life with his newfound family. But the cops are on his tail. He's killed, and Shadowson takes Carmen back to Vile Island, rewarded with a seat at the table, and Carmen becomes part of the thieving family. All of this is so much for Carmen, being given the truth without hesitation. But even with Shadowson not wanting Carmen to know where she came from and who her family was, he's proud of the life she's lived and the path she took. Shadowson for Surrogate Father of the Year! But the question remains, who killed Carmen's father? It was none other than the chief herself, who did it on accident. But still, she did the deed. We go to Chief's daily routine for prepping for the day, feeding her cat and getting a latte. Carmen reveals herself face to face with the Acme leader and leaves behind a hard drive as an act of goodwill, if you remember what happened back in the Stockholm caper. Thinking this to be a lead towards Vile's existence, the Chief is bamboozled by Carmen and Player, their system hacked and exposed. This throws Chief into a rage, and reinstates Devino to track Carmen down. Devino was rescued from the island, by the way, if that wasn't apparent. And as a last nugget for this season's ending, Acme's files reveal what could be the codename for Carmen's mother, Vera Cruz, who's still out there in the world, and it is now Carmen's mission to find her. And, for you geeks out there, Vera Cruz is designed after the original Carmen Sandiego. I was super happy when that was shown. It could be a fantasy for all I care, but I thought it was an awesome decision, and I hope they keep it if season 4, or the rumored movie, ever show Carmen being her mom. I'm just saying. And that's it. That's the end of the top 10 list. My favorite episodes of this wonderful revival of an old IP that is Carmen Sandiego. The team behind the show really demonstrated how their love for the original source material could be updated for a new audience while bringing back the old, not making it edgy and dark, keeping it fun and educational at the same time, with wonderful voice acting and character design. It did make me upset that season 4 will be its last, but at the same time, I respect the team for stopping where they wanted. Unless season 4 has only 4 or 5 episodes like season 3. Then it's nothing but obvious that they split season 3 into 2, like Voltron and She-Ra. That's a bad move. But season 3 was released on October 1st, and season 4 will release on January 15th. It's pretty sketchy, so this may be the case. But then again, Corona got in full swing around March when the special came out. But season 3 was announced in April, right after the special, which makes this even more sketch. Who knows? Netflix is pretty secretive. Thank you so much for watching. This is a bit different from our regular content, and I plan on doing more of these. So please like, comment, and subscribe. All that good stuff. And share this video with your friends. Who knows, you might want to watch the show too. I'm Gutslove, and I'll see you all next time. Wear a mask, and take care of yourselves.